back to our friend Ricky. Let's talk about his school days. And let's talk about how he breaks wind. Ever wonder, he's always drinking beer. Everywhere he goes, he has this show, it's a sort of a post-millennium, I don't give a shit about any of you people. I'm coming on, I'll come to Golden Globes and I'll come onto the show and I'm drinking beer. The question is, beer's full of gas. Where does that gas go? Because Ricky doesn't fart on stage. He doesn't fart in his interviews. There's a mystery there. So, okay, the gas goes in. A lot of it comes out of his mouth. He's always full of gas, what he's talking about. The rest goes down through his exhaust pipe. And here is the secret. Let's go back to Ricky's school days. Sitting in class, as I said, he's a sneak. Ricky will have had his turnips and boiled cabbage the night before, maybe toad in the hole, all things cause great gas, traditional English cooking of the 60s and the 50s. A lot of gas there, a lot of farting going on, but not with Ricky, even with all that beer. So he has some training. So I just thought about Ricky at school, and I imagined this scene. Ricky has had some Indian samosas the night before. It's been a big treat because his mum didn't want to work. She was down playing bingo at the local church hall. His dad came in, slapping everyone around. And so there's not much being cooked there. And in samosas from the local Indian, whatever it is, the corner shop, the 24-hour day Asian shop, which had samosas there. And samosas are smelly little things, and they create a lot of gas. This is a lot. If you want to have your own gas works, eat samosas. So imagine this scene. Ricky's had his samosas the night before. He's sitting in class. Suddenly all this pressure. Imagine the scene. Ricky stands up and says, Sir, Jenkins farted. Ricky's let one off, silently though. He's the master of the silent fart. The class is smelly. Everyone's shouting, Jenkins, and the master, Jenkins, you rude boy, out. Everybody out. Everybody runs out of the class to avoid this horrible, noxious curry or vegetable gas which is going there. And little Ricky's there with his Tourette smile. Ha ha, ha ha. So Jenkins gets a few slaps, and there's a thing where they would punch you, pinch and a punch for the end of the month, but you also get punched for farting in class. So, poor old Jenkins was getting, and there's no escaping it. Anyway, so Ricky, having learned, I'm sure this is what happened, the art of the silent fart, keeps drinking. And obviously when he goes onto these talk shows, he's going to continue farting, and when he's on stage, continue farting. And herein lies the solution of the mystery. You will notice that Ricky now on talk shows on his own. Other people like Johnny Depp and Scarlett Johansson, I'm sure, have it in their contract. They then won't go on the same couch as Ricky Gervais in a talk show with Edward Norton or whoever else is the interviewer of the day. On stage, it's a comedian, but it's not with other people. It's never a two-man show. It's never someone else. It's always Ricky on his own, running up and down. And, well, the reasons, to me, silent ones, all across those stages, all across that. And you probably find, I bet if the camera pulled back on those talk show hosts, you'd see a fan behind them blowing the other way. So Ricky, I think, is the master of the silent fart, something that he probably developed out of necessity at a very early stage at school. Poor old Jenkins got whacked or hit or abused for being falsely accused. But it wouldn't bother Ricky, because Ricky would say, if you asked him about Jenkins, I don't care. I don't care. Let's look at his heroes. Who are Ricky's heroes? We noticed on the Golden Globes, he came up the last time. I think being obnoxious and so on. We'll go that in another episode. The Golden Globes is a big story, and we're going to get into it, and we're going to uncover Ricky and all his glory there. But anyway, he talks about pedophiles and you pedophiles here and pedo this and pedo that. Well, Ricky adored a pedophile. It was his hero. It was the abominable, the disgusting BBC presenter called Jimmy Savile. He's a freakish-looking guy. Anyone look at him, you realize something must have been wrong with that. Everyone at the BBC knew. But Ricky came out now, and Ricky's first guest was Jimmy Savile. Serial pedophile, hundreds of children abused and forced into horrible things. Not only that, but the reports are there, and the people who knew him, he had a free pass, Jimmy Savile did, to the local morgue, and he would take his time off. Others, like us, would go down to the beach or to a restaurant or to get together with some friends. But Jimmy Savile would go into the morgue. They knew him and let him go in. They wouldn't follow him in. And he would run around and do sex things with the corpses, putting them on top of each other when they were out of rigor mortis. And then he was seen one day running down a corridor with a dead four-year-old child, in a pram, in a kiddie chair. And he was pushing this 4-year-old dead child up and down the corridor. This is the man that Ricky Gervais worshipped. This is the man he presented, his first hero. And then, when the shit hit the fan, and the stories came out after, of course, Savile was dead, then people at the BBC were, well, everyone knew, we didn't care, and this and that, and it should have come out. He's a terrible man. Everyone's distancing from Jimmy Savile. And of course, what's Ricky going to say? You can trash cancer patients. You can trash dead babies. But running up and down a corridor with a dead baby to get your jollies is not a fun episode. But this was a man who's talking about pedophiles, and now he's been caught red-handed because he liked the pedophiles, the very ones that he vilified on Golden Globes. So what does Ricky do? Now he comes and says, well, we didn't know, and of course, it's a terrible thing to be a pedophile. And Jimmy Savile, and I knew him professionally, and this and that, and we were at the BBC. He didn't know. Well, no, did the Germans know? That's what they said, and it was a mile away. It was 2 miles away. And Belsen and the other camps in Poland and in Germany, the Germans didn't know. They could smell it. They could smell the meat burning, and they thought, someone was roasting, barbecuing rindfleisch, or making whatever, or making blood sausages and smoking them. Germans didn't have a clue, they said. So Ricky knew nothing about the paedophile at the BBC. The only thing he knew is his hero, and now he's dumping him in the same way as he's dumped on the Weinstein bandwagon, and he stood up at the Golden Globes, trashed Weinstein, because Weinstein has done horrible things and justly being taken to court. But that's another chapter. But it's another thing to jump on the bandwagon. Where were you when people were doing that? Where were you when Jimmy Savile was taking young children and abusing them? Where were you when he was going into the morgue? And you enjoy making jokes about dead babies. Well, your friend, your hero, Jimmy Savile, enjoyed taking them for a ride up and down the corridors of the morgue. Okay, so it's no fun. For me, he's funny to some people. He's not funny to me. Because what gerbil face is all about, it's about making people unhappy, stamping on them when they're down, jumping onto bandwagons, and making miserable money. Because he's not making the big money. The ship owners in Greece who make $1 million a day.
Dutch. He's so famous. He's rich. He's mega rich. I am.
And 2 million, 3 million in Greece and elsewhere. There are people on the internet who are making 500 million a day, and they don't go saying, when I was rich and famous. I haven't seen Zuckerberg say, or the Amazon guy, Bezos, saying, well, now I'm rich, now I'm famous, now I'm rich. And these guys are seriously rich. And Ricky is just nothing in the money stakes, nothing in the fame stakes. He is big as being well known, okay. So is Ted Bundy. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Bye, guys. Subscribe. There's a lot more coming up. Serious stuff and funny stuff, I hope. Alec Sianna, subscribe. Next episode, Rick Gervais again. We have a lot to talk about this little fellow from Reading. Slumdog Ricky, the one who made it big, the one who's bought a mansion. We're going to talk about his mansion, a ludicrous place, which is for laughs, but we'll come to that. All the toffs and the rich and the famous and his neighbours are having a good laugh at pretentious little Rick. Anyway, bye for now.